Last year, I finally played my first Trails game with Trails in the Sky First Chapter, and I really didn't expect to love it as much as I did. In fact, it was my game of the year last year. I mean, this was a series I heard about for years. People would constantly say how incredible the world building was, the characters were awesome, and there was such a ridiculous amount of continuity between all the games, and how if you were willing to commit to the Trails series, there really wasn't anything else like it. After playing Trails in the Sky First Chapter, I finally got it. I understood why people love Estelle so much. I understood why people have become attached to the world, and I understand why the series has developed such an insanely dedicated fan base. But more importantly, this game gave a lot of people, including me, an incredibly important thing: a really convenient starting point. And now on September 17th, only just a couple of weeks away, we're getting Trails in the Sky second chapter. And I've deliberately avoided digging too deeply into the original second chapter because I want to experience the story properly through the remake, but I just want to explain why I think you should be excited for the second chapter and why this actually might be one of the JRPGs that you really need to pick up. Because if Falcom can do for second chapter what they already did for the first one, this might just be my game of the year in 2026. So before we get into all that, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave your thoughts down below. Are you excited for this? Did you play the Trails in the Sky first chapter remake? I love this world in this series now, and I can't get enough. So let's chat about what we can expect and why this matters to you. So one of the reasons I think you should be excited about Trails in the Sky second chapter is that Falcom has already proven this remake project can work. And I think there's always going to be concern when you hear about a remake. Some of the existing Trails fans might have been concerned that it might strip away some of what made the original game special. I mean, Trails isn't necessarily a series built around constant spectacle. It's built around world building and conversations and relationships with NPCs and all that kind of stuff that slowly develops over dozens of hours. And characters wandering into your game who might initially seem completely insignificant before suddenly mattering a lot more later. Trails in the Sky first chapter felt really deliberate. The characters had a lot of personality, and the world of Liberal felt really alive, and the combat was so fun and fast and easy to go through. And underneath all that, you could tell that the developers still cared about the tiny details that made this world feel believable. And that's probably the biggest reason I'm so confident about the second chapter. I mean, you can see that this game is inheriting so much of the strengths of the first chapter while clearly standing on its own as well. So it's iterating on the first chapter, and I'm so excited to see how it's going to be better as well. And this is all important because Trails in the Sky second chapter is not some disconnected sequel that happens to reuse the same characters. It picks up right as the ending of first chapter happens, more or less. I mean, if you played Trails in the Sky first chapter, I mean, look, you have to have finished it in order to fully understand this video, so some of the stuff might be spoiled and or lost on you. But that cliffhanger ending of first chapter was such a wow moment for me, so I'm really excited to see where this is going to pick up and how we can connect the dots from each of the characters here. The official setup asks what Ouroboros is really planning and where Joshua has gone after disappearing from Estelle's side, and follows Estelle as she begins a new chapter of her journey while obviously trying to stop the society's plans and hopefully bring Joshua back. And yeah, even for spoilers, if you go on the website, it says that there's spoiler warning and all that stuff. So please tread carefully if you don't want any spoilers here. But I loved how much time the first chapter was given to breathe. It really didn't feel like it was desperately trying to sprint towards some enormous world-ending threat in the opening hours. I mean, instead I spent all of my time traveling around the world, learning about the different cities, meeting people, and really just understanding the relationships between all those characters. And because of that, when the story did start becoming bigger, I actually cared about what was happening a lot more. And the second chapter gets to inherit all of that groundwork. We already know the places, more or less, and I'm sure we're going to find some new places too. And some characters are going to be familiar, and we already understand a lot of what's happening here. And we might even think of this as a conclusion of what happened in first chapter. Again, I don't know anything else in the Trails series, so I'm just excited to see what the payoff is going to be, because again, that cliffhanger from first chapter was, oh boy, one heck of a setup. But if I'm being completely serious, I mean, the biggest reason I'm excited for this game might just be Estelle. Estelle Bright is very quickly becoming one of my favorite JRPG protagonists. And I think part of that comes from how refreshingly normal she is. She's loud, impulsive, really oblivious, stubborn, and she's not some mysterious chosen hero who has hidden power or whatever. She's like somebody just trying to become a better bracer, more or less. And watching her slowly grow throughout that game, as well as Joshua as well, was one of my favorite parts of first chapter. And second chapter clearly puts even more weight onto Estelle herself. The official story setup is built around her becoming a fully fledged Sludge, Bracer, investigating Ouroboros, and searching for Joshua. So this isn't her standing around while the plot happens somewhere else. She has an intensely personal reason to keep moving forward. That's the kind of continuation that I want, of course. And I don't just want to see what happens to the world of Liberal, I want to see what happens to her. And without having spoilers like shouted at me, a lot of fans of the Trails series have told me that second chapter is where things get really good for Estelle's story. And going to this remake without already knowing exactly how that unfolds is really one of the things that I'm most excited about. Now, the combat of the first game really won me over, so I'm really looking forward to seeing, again, how it's going to iterate on first chapter's combat, because it was a really unique system that I really began to love. I've said really a lot there. I'm really sorry. Of course, that core idea is returning. You can still fight enemies in quick battle out on the field and then transition into proper turn-based battles when you want something more tactical. One big mechanic that's being pushed here is something called Brave Rush. During quick battle, you can spend a couple points from the Brave gauge to pair your active character with another party member and unleash a high damage combo attack. And of course, that joins in with some existing things like attacks and jump attacks, dodges, and all that character-specific stuff. So it looks like Falcom is adding a lot more options without abandoning that hybrid battle system that made first chapter so interesting to me. And I really like that approach. Again, I mean, being able to deal with weaker enemies while still retaining proper turn-based battles for bigger encounters was such a good compromise. It made exploration dramatically less tedious without sacrificing the combat system at all. I mean, that's exactly what I want from a remake. Don't completely redesign the game because you're afraid of turn-based combat feeling old. Just remove some of the friction around it and make some of the systems around it feel better. And Trails first chapter absolutely knocked that out of the park. And of course, you're going to see some upgrades around the orbments, tactical orbments, and quartz and all that stuff. So if you love character builds and customizing, you're going to be able to do that. Again, the same as you did in first chapter. I didn't really dabble as much because I just played on easy and I just experienced it for the story. And occasionally I upped the difficulty just to kind of experiment. I just had fun with the character builds and didn't go too deep. But again, if you like that kind of stuff, second chapter is going to be giving you so much of what worked and refining it again and making it more rich rather than just radically different. And it's been confirmed that a bunch of smaller things outside of combat are going to be coming here, like cooking and fishing and viewer mode as well, which is going to be fun to explore. And look, this is the part of the video where I tell you that I'm not going to be doing any of that because I really don't care about side content. And I'm sorry, I'm so unapologetically like anti-side content or anti-side quests. I just don't care. I want to experience the story and digest from point A to point B because I got to know what happens. But hey, if you like that side stuff, it's going to be there for you to play. And there's also a nice little reward if you finished first chapter, which obviously you should if you're playing this game. So if you load clear data from Trails in the Sky first chapter, second chapter unlocks these classic style costumes for Estelle and Joshua based on their designs from the original Trails in the Sky. And actually that's not some enormous save transfer system where everything you made carries forward or anything like that, but it's just a nice little cosmetic reward. And I like that. This is supposed to feel like a direct continuation of the adventure you just finished. So having the sequel recognize that, hey, you did something, here's something for that. It's a really nice touch. But with all that nice stuff out of the way, here's the most important takeaway from this video as somebody who's never played a Trails game until last year with first chapter. This is the perfect starting point because this entire series, again, has always felt intimidating to me. And now we have a really great and accessible entry point. People would tell me to play Trails and then immediately start explaining this gigantic timeline involving all the different iterations like Cold Steel, Daybreak, like all this stuff. None of this made sense to me and made my brain just shut down because suddenly playing one JRPG feels like agreeing to play 15 of them. And that's why these Trails in the Sky remakes are a really big deal to me because I don't need to start anywhere like in the middle or watch a 3-hour YouTube video explaining everything that happened before this game that I'm just about to start. There's now a modern remake of the very beginning of this enormous story. So you can start with first chapter, then move directly to second chapter, which is honestly why I'm making this video because you might have enough time to finish first chapter before second chapter comes out. And that's a really great, clean way into a franchise that historically has now looked very approachable from the outside. And I think that's going to become increasingly important because it looks like Trails as a series isn't getting any smaller. I mean, the longer the series continues, the harder it is to convince somebody that they should just jump into this massive interconnected saga. Remaking Trails in the Sky changes that conversation completely. So instead of telling somebody to track down an older version and then explaining where everything fits, you can just say Trails in the Sky first and second chapter, just go start there. So I obviously can't sit here and tell you that Trails in the Sky second chapter is definitely going to be one of the best JRPGs of 2026. I mean, I haven't played it. Maybe something goes wrong. Maybe there are changes from the original game and longtime fans hate it. Or maybe I'll get 20 hours into it and completely change my mind. I mean, this is absolutely not a review. This is me looking at what Falcom has already done with First Chapter Remake and what they've shown us about the sequel, and getting extremely excited about where this is going. Because First Chapter already did that difficult part. It convinced me to care about the world, it convinced me to care about these characters, and more importantly, it convinced me that after years of looking at the Trails series from the outside and wondering how the heck was I supposed to get into this enormous series, I finally found a way in. And now I want to see where Estelle's journey goes next. And thankfully, we don't have much longer to wait. So Trails in the Sky launches September 17th for most consoles. So if you've already played First Chapter, let me know how excited you are for this one. And if you've never played Trails at all, I genuinely think this remake project might be the best opportunity there ever has been to finally see what the fuss is all about. So I hope you're excited. I am too. I cannot wait for this game to come out, and I'm just so hopeful that it picks up in a really great way. The cliffhangers are going to be answered, and I get to have a really great payoff by the time I roll credits on Second Chapter, which can't come soon enough. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let me know if you're excited for this game. Don't forget to like and subscribe, all that stuff. Leave comments, and yeah, we'll see you on another video very soon. Bye-bye.